This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And today, he's going to be breaking down the iconic weaponry of Hitman 3.
So as a bullpup, it's a short weapon, but it's not nearly short enough to fit in that briefcase. It just kind of magics its way out of that briefcase. I'm clearly not going for maximum realism here.
If there are any other games, guns, or mechanics that you want to see Jonathan break down, let us know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe for more videos exactly like this. And if you want to help out the Royal Armouries Museum and continue to support Jonathan's work, you can check out the links in the description of this video. Right, over to Jonathan.
Good luck, 47.
Okay, first up, we've got the thinly disguised Krugermeier 2.2, which does contain the name of the real gun, Ruger, which is the name of Bill Ruger, who founded the Ruger company. Pretty good representation of the Ruger Mark II, Mark III. It's actually marked Mark III visibly in the game. It is sort of a fantasy version. It doesn't quite match in detail. But if I grab an example, you'll see how close it really is. This is actually a real vintage piece. This is a Mark I. I think the only thing that really sticks out for me, if we're being nitpicky, is the trigger guard, which is very picky of me. But the Rugers all have this traditional rounded trigger guard, which has sort of made a comeback these days. The game model has the squared off trigger guard, which was invented in the 80s for a two-handed grip where the left finger wraps around the trigger guard. Really quite a quiet pistol, probably about as quiet as it gets with a suppressor of this volume. It's not very wide, but it's very long. And 2.2, especially if you load subsonic 2.2, would actually be maybe not a million miles away from how it's depicted in this clip. The sound is a little bit sort of, the pitch is a bit movie TV maybe, but it's definitely not just the pew pew sound. They've done a little better with this, I think.
That stings!
We've reached the iconic Hitman Silverballer pistol, 45 ACP, and I'm smiling because the biker that just got shot was shot in the knee and remarked,
"That stings!"
which I don't think has ever happened. I think any bullet to the knee is probably problematic at best, and a 45 is a big old heavy slug. I'm clearly not going for maximum realism here. The pistol has obviously been in the series since I think the beginning. Silverballer, as I'm sure people already know, comes from Hardballer, which is the model name of the gun it's based on. So the AMT Hardballer. So here it is. Disappointingly, I know it doesn't have a suppressor in it. And that's really a function of it being a target pistol / competition pistol. Not much call in either of those roles for a threaded barrel, which is what you need to fit a suppressor. So that classic shiny sound suppressor on the end doesn't happen in real life unless you make it happen in real life. So as well as the Hardballer / Silverballer being a bit of an old gun, of course the 1911, it's in the name, it's well over 100 years old now. So is this really something that an international super assassin would be using? It's fiction, of course, but there are better options, including the Ruger 2.2 that we've already seen. A lot of the kills in the Hitman games are done at close range, and 2.2 suppresses so well that you genuinely might get away without being detected. A 45 full-size pistol with a typical suppressor on it, that sound, although it sounds quite authentic to me, what we're not getting is the real-world volume of that. Indoors, the pop of a 45 going off with a suppressor on it is still loud as a balloon going off. And if you've ever jumped at a balloon getting popped, then you know that this is not super quiet. And in some of the really quiet settings that we get in these games, people are going to hear you. So not that suitable from a practical standpoint, kind of really old hat in terms of the gun design. And well, actually the caliber, the cartridge is about the only thing that does fit. Because if you want to incapacitate or kill something very quickly at close range, a big heavy bullet like 45 is, it's an option. The problem is it's still got a fair old powder charge in the case, so it's going to still make quite a noise. We've got quite an interesting, slightly sci-fi looking pistol up next. More interestingly maybe is the improvised sound suppressor, which is a real trend now in games come over from the real world, where it's possible, in theory, to attach something like an oil filter to a pistol. And that's because the gentleman who founded Gemtech Suppressors once told me you can get the same sound suppression as their pistol suppressors with a potato stuck on the end of a gun barrel. The problem, of course, is that you only get that sound suppression for one shot. But that's why these improvised suppressors would actually work. Where it falls down is the attachment. You need to be able to fit it to the gun. You need a standardized thread on the end of the barrel and some sort of adapter to fit on this paint spray can. You'd have to spray all of the contents out. You'd have to hollow it out. You'd need to DIY this thing onto your gun. You can't just stick it on the end like that. But once you got it on there, there's enough volume in the paint can that it would work. I don't know how well, and I don't think it would be very robust. In the spectrum of sound suppressors, it's one up from a potato. There is the Walther, sorry Germany, WA 2000 bullpup sniper rifle, or something very close to it. You can see it behind me, pretty close, but the general shape, the thumb hole, pistol grip, the mixture of wood and finished metal is general shape. They're all pretty much there. I think this probably was introduced into the franchise as a result of the Bond movie, The Living Daylights, which this gun was hired out for. You can see when Agent 47 is moving around the environment that the relatively short length of a bullpup with a long barrel and a short stock would be a realistic advantage. So as a bullpup, it's a short weapon, but it's not nearly short enough to fit in that briefcase. As Agent 47 is taking it out of the briefcase, it just kind of magics its way out of that very short briefcase. It's not a takedown design, and in the game it's not either, so he's not taking the barrel out and fitting it to the stock, which is what you have to do to fit any kind of sniper rifle into anything smaller than a very large suitcase. We're stretching reality there, but we have a strong tradition in video games of pulling guns out of miniature black holes. The other thing about this weapon in the game is the cavalier nature in which Agent 47 treats the thing. Throwing weapons is never a good idea. With a precision rifle like this, any knock to the scope could absolutely destroy your ability to accurately shoot the weapon. Dropping it even would be a bad idea, never mind hurling it in its briefcase at somebody, as fun as that is. And then at one point we see it thrown off a rooftop in its case. I don't know, maybe whatever black hole the gun hides in when it's in the case protects it from impacts as well. I don't know, but it's not to be recommended. Throwing precision engineered pieces of machinery from rooftops is not conducive to their good function.
You almost feel like a god looking down on your creation. But back to business. It's interesting we haven't come across each other before, Mr.
Carl Ingram finally gets what he deserves.
Yeah, that's a weird gun. That's basically entirely fictional. So I had to cheat and look at the excellent IMFDB here. But the Heiser Defense double tap, which is actually a tip-up barrel Derringer, just like an Old West Derringer, but a modern version of it, stylistically is very similar to this thing. This thing is bizarre because not only does it not have a magazine in the pistol grip, you can't reload it at all. Why would you have a pistol that you can't reload? No idea. It sort of makes thematic sense in terms of it being an assassination weapon, that you get 5 rounds and that's your lot. It's caseless, we know that from the description and the fact that no cases come out when it fires, presumably because leaving cartridge cases behind could lead to you being detected, but I don't think that's ever been a problem for Agent 47. Also, in terms of its visual design, it visibly has a slide assembly on it. So it's got all of the parts necessary to reload each shot. All it's missing is the magazine. Why didn't they take a step forward and design a magazine for it? Gameplay reasons. That's the only logical reason I can think of for a gun that you can't reload is to encourage you to use this weapon in the game. Sniper rifles, of course, are somewhat prominent in the gameplay of the Hitman games. And this is like, if you squint really hard, it's a Dragunov SVD. But yeah, it's substantially different than the real SVD rifle. What really strikes me about this is the insane physics going on. So we see every time a bullet hits a character, they are flying backward. In fact, a couple of times it looked like they flipped like 180 and face planted onto the deck, which looks cool, but of course is completely impossible, because I'm not sure what in-game caliber this is, but the 7.62 by 54 Russian cartridge does not have the power to do that. And schoolboy physics would tell you that if you could knock somebody a yard backward, you would be displaced by that amount by pulling the trigger. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm looking forward to playing this game at some point myself. Not so much from the accuracy standpoint, but the gameplay really does look superb. Museums are struggling a bit at the moment, so if you feel you would like to, we do have a link in the description to donate or even to become a member of the Royal Armouries. That would be great, but just watching is great too.